something like that, like or 1/100th millionth or something. So that's the sun, and then you can find like the moon in the Nobel Peace Museum and the Earth in like some other museum, and it's like all spread out from like here to the northern tip of Sweden is like the solar system.
So it's like a university, or not, like a universe scavenger hunt.
Kind of, yeah, like a solar system scavenger hunt. So you can like, where do I find Earth? Where's Mercury, Mars, Venus, all that stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And just the amount of, like, I always wonder if the thought had to, like, was that just something where, like, oh, all the space is open, or is it like...
or, hey, look, our country's really long. Maybe we can, like, build a solar system.
Oh, so you have to go, like, really north to see one of them.
Really
like,
far
up,
north.
up to the Arctic.
Yeah, to, like, for, like, Pluto, or, like, the Oort belt, or, like, some comet or something is, like, way, way north. But most of the things
when you were
you can
explaining
see,
it, I thought it was just the city.
No, it's like the country in size. Yeah, so you would have to go way north to like see the whole thing.
And Norway doesn't have anything like that.
I don't think so. Maybe there's like one thing or two things. I'm not sure. But most of the stuff we're familiar with is here in Stockholm. Like you can find Earth and the Moon and stuff, but they're like separated by one end of town to the other or something like that.
That's also cool just because I imagine it's difficult when designing a country's tourism to get people to go to all the random places.
Right.
So I think it's kind of a smart... Like, there's somebody that does that.
Yeah.
There's somebody that goes to all the planets just to say that they could.
They could, or they have, yeah.
Or they're, like, huge... like astrology nerds.
And sometimes the like things that they're using to represent a planet are art pieces, and sometimes they're like, this is actually a piece of meteorite that we're using to represent this thing. So I've seen the whole list on Imager, I think is where
So the Ericsson globe
is the sun.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Because I was like, that's probably
it's the biggest roundest thing.
Yeah. It's the largest sphere.
Yeah. And then
spherical building in the world. And has...
Yeah, was or has been or...
No, it is? They are very confident.
That it is?
Yeah. Which seems like a weird thing to be competing with. Like, tallest building.
Sure.
Everybody's gunning for that, right? Yeah. But roundest... like largest round building is really rough. It doesn't seem like an efficient use of space.
It's not.
Like you can't really build that as like office buildings unless there were like rows of I don't know. It was a very weird thing to do. Like it was very funny just having, because it has like a movie.
Oh, I haven't watched the movie.
So it has a movie that plays at the start.
Okay.
And it looks like...
Oh, yeah, that's right. And
it looks like a future spy or like a modern military thing. So it's got that like kind of like connecting video, like kind of pinpoints on a map and like really fun infographics. And it's this like half circle.
Yeah, that's right.
Screen. And it's just, but the funniest part is that the clips they show people in it are old.
Yeah,
it's like they were showing Stevie Wonder singing, which is cool, but it's like not
relevant.
Yeah. And it says I think it's as old as me. I think it was built in 1989.
Yeah.
And it's weird that it doesn't go all the way over
the pod that
you can ride little balls.
Yeah. Up to the top, yeah, but not over the other side. Yeah, it goes up and stops and goes back down the same way.
And it's also just Ericsson. Like there was that run of phones. Like we lived through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Where Sony Ericsson
was a big deal.
Was a thing.
Yeah, but they're still kind of big.
Yeah, they're huge here. Yeah. Like so, it's just kind of a.
But not for phones. For like the equipment
technology
used to make cell phone towers and stuff.
Yeah, they're bragging about 5G.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't think I'm connecting to that. But yeah, the levels seem cool. All right. Shall we start?
Yeah, of course.
Well, to be honest, I already started mid.
I thought you might have.
Yeah, that's kind of the good talk, solar sim talk. Okay, what's your name and what's your game?
My name's Roderick McDougall. I'm a game designer. Been working AAA for 7 years now, and 5, 6 of those years are spent kind of on the marketing side, actually, doing like game marketing, website marketing for games, and then back into game design.
And you didn't have any marketing?
Yeah, no marketing experience at all. And I think it's funny because you can talk to anybody working in the game industry, and everybody's journey is different. There's not like, I went to law school here, and like there's not this like set path. There's like you kind of meander through it.
I think also just because like one of the biggest problems I think the game industry faces is education isn't standardized yet.
Right.
Like no company I've ever met trusts any school.
Yeah.
Unless they've hired one person from that school.
Right.
And they killed
it. Or the recruiter is like good or friendly with the school or something, and they're like always there.
And often it's like a local thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're like, we know those 2 to 3 schools are one of the good ones.
We can pick candidates.
We can go poach a couple of them.
Yeah. Yeah, because you and I, we both went to AI and graduated the same year.
Yeah, worked on the
same stuff.
Same graduation project.
Yeah.
Which is called
Tiki Wiki.
Such a silly name.
Yeah.
I can't believe that game had a cinematic intro.
Yeah. Built that with Unreal 3 or something like that.
But it was weird because it looked good at the time.
Yeah.
And then because of the timing of Unity, at that time, it was a weird shift where we had the best looking project for like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. But do you remember that? I mean, I remember going to like Unity conferences in Vancouver where they were basically pitching, hey, we're starting this new engine. It's a little game maker indie engine, and it's called Unity. And it'd be like the founders are there trying to sell you to buy Unity and to use it. And like, looking back, I don't know of too many other like ground floor openings that I could have had or might have been exposed to. Like,
Yeah, it's weird.
It's kind of weird.
Because you talk to, like, if you go to conferences, you talk to so many people that sound like what they're working on is a scam or is, like, not a real thing.
Or is going to fail.
And then you just got to wait it out, and then you're like, oh, wow, that person, like...
took off.
Yeah.
There's now this big engine called Unity competing directly with...
Everybody.
Everybody, yeah, the big
in
players.
one way or another.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we
went to school together, different classes.
Right, same project? Is that
same project, yeah. Because it was... Do you remember the team composition?
Oh, God. There's, like, so many designers.
There was 4 programmers. The numbers are so ridiculous to me. It's burned into my head. 4 programmers, which I was part of. 17 designers.
Which is what I was part of.
And then, like, 8 artists.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. We had to find ways, like, we had teams of level designers building levels.
And we had, like, we just made one of the designers the technical director.
Yeah.
Because we're like, you know Unreal better than us, and we don't want to do meetings because we're in a rush. Like, you
need to take this role.
You need to take this role.
Yep.
Who were talking about Reiner.
That's right, yeah.
Who I think, like, when I look at it, I think you and Reiner are definitely the standouts
of
that class. Like in the design program. So it's definitely like I always think of you two, like, made it.
Yeah. That attrition off that class was huge. Like, there was...
And you both had not the, like, core designer roles. Like, both of you were, like I thought you were doing production on it, right?
I was, like production or lead designer. Both, like...
Yeah, it was, like...
It's funny, when you get students defining roles and doing it for the first time with a school project, you get these weird blends of things. So, I mean, after the project, Stefan and I talked a little bit about it. He's like, I should have been, he was saying that the role he was wanted to do, or that he was doing, was kind of lead design, and the role I was doing was like producer, but we called each other the different thing. Like he was the producer and I was lead designer.
Yeah.
But I don't know. All projects are fluid. Like even working here, AAA is like the lines between a designer and a producer are always blurred. It seems.
Yeah, and every game, based on the personnel, based on the culture that's defined there. Yeah,
you have to pick up whatever you can to make the best product or the best project.
Yeah, and then there comes at least with us, which has worked out really well, is like we now have a producer who like that's like all they do.
Nice.
So it's like able to like kind of, and though their role is larger than maybe a traditional producer, talking with porting companies, dealing with merch people, like looking at schedules, kind of even managing like calendars and of like vacations and stuff like that. But yeah, it's
But that's nice. I like when I don't have a producer, I feel like a little overwhelmed with how much stuff needs to be taken care of. But as soon as you have someone who's like dedicated to that role, they really help out a lot.
It's definitely a sense of security.
Yeah.
Like, somebody else should be looking
at this,
at what I'm working on, so I have confidence that I can just keep on working on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was 2008. No, 2009 we graduated.
2009 we graduated,
March.
yeah.
Because we went to school for a year and a half.
That's right, yeah. Fall 2007 is when I started.
Which is how I always describe it as like I have like a fake computer science degree. Like I got enough school quick enough that I could get a job in games. Never could work at a bank. I think I'd have a hard time teaching at a university because they'd be like, that degree has a crease in it. Because it went through the mail slot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Really fast.
Yeah.
We can't quite make out.
Yeah, but the experience in games is the most valuable part. Like, as soon as you're working, it's like you're leaps and bounds ahead of anybody at any school. Maybe not the people that made Flow and Journey. Like, they got ascended through school really quickly. But, so what'd you do after that? Like, what was 2009 summer?
Yeah, so summer 2009. I think it took me a couple months or weeks, and I started cooking in kitchens, like, because that's what I was doing before going to game design school. And like, it's 2009. Remember, we had the massive recession. Like, companies,
we graduated the worst time. One person came to our grad show.
Yeah,
and they were from Big Fish.
Right.
And they refused to play my 2-player game. So I had to play my weird 2-player game by myself.
It's so hard. And I like, how many studios closed around that time in Vancouver? Like, Radical disappeared. United.
Though they're still around, which is weird.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. Like, they're like this Activision tech
branch.
Like tech. From what I understand. And I assume I'm not breaking any NDAs of Activision's, but I don't really care. They're working they're like a hot fix kind of like extra programming network stuff. So they kind of hop between projects. I think mostly Call of Duty.
Okay.
And they still have the sign.
They still have the sign right on the SkyTrain on that building. Awesome.
Yeah. I think Rockstar moved similar, like around then. Like, it was like I got 2 interviews.
Yeah, I didn't get any.
I got one with Big Sandwich Games, and they were like, hey, we can't hire you right now. We like you, but we can't hire you right now. We're getting the money, whatever.
Yeah, everyone.
And then I had one interview with EA.
Yeah.
And didn't get the EA job, and then 6 months passed, and Big Sandwich was like, okay, we got the money. Let's come work on a kart racer based on this local comic artist for the Wii.
Oh, what interesting times. Yeah. I think the beginning of the career is kind of maybe the craziest, because you're the most willing to like do the crazy risks, and you don't have any of
everything.
and you don't have the seniority or the experience to like get out of that silly zone.
Oh no. Yeah, and it could have went. And the weird thing for me is like those people are the people I knew when I heard about Darkest Dungeon. So I knew Tyler
right
at the time, as well as the programmer at the time, Calvin. So I knew roughly what I was getting into with them and liking them.
Right.
So I could trust that and take the risk for Darkest Dungeon, which if I never met them, maybe I would have never...
Yeah. And I was going to say, the importance of networking in this industry is, like, you can't understate it. That's, for me, I mean, I graduated and I applied. There was a contractor working with EA called Volt.
Yeah,
for
testing.
QA.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're still with us, but I did their online test. I was like really keen, followed up with them all the time. I was just telling this crazy story actually to some colleagues yesterday. How I got my first gig in the industry is bizarre. I had done the interview. I got called by the recruiters like, yeah, we need some QA testers to come in on FIFA on the weekend really quick. And this
was that when they were given
2009. They're crunching to get like.
Okay, so that's not the because I did the EA testing where you get like 3 free games.
Oh no! This isn't that.
This is the step up from that.
Yeah, nah. This was like Volt's online. How like write some bugs for us based on some movies that you watch. Like here's some footage from a baseball game, and it glitches out, and you have to like write a bug for the glitch and things like that.
Wait. So you're not even playing it?
No. You're not even playing it. It's like it's online.
You're
watching a video. You're filling in forms and writing bugs, and you get evaluated based on your bug writing skill.
Oh, this is the test.
The test, yeah.
Okay.
For QA.
I could see a situation where it's like we got the game wizard QA people that break the game,
right?
And then we got the people that can write repo steps. I could see some situation where it's like, yeah. And by the way, like good QA, it's something I would have never guessed. Like good QA is unbelievably valuable.
Yes. Yeah. The ability to read a report that clearly tells you how to break it, and for you as a developer to understand what you need to do to fix it is great. Yeah. Really important.
So what type of cooking were you doing before and after school?
Oh man. So before school, I cooked in everything, just like a line cook. I mean, I was a cook for 10 years. So bars, casual dining, fine dining. I think my favorite gig was working at a golf course in the kitchen there. That was a lot of fun because you would do this mix of like restaurant, dinner, casual dining, but then you'd have these events or weddings that come through, so you do like a catering side too.
If you wanted to go on like a Vancouver tour of restaurants you worked at.
Oh, actually, this is all in Alberta. In
Alberta, yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, if you were to do a tour, you would, the golf course is Redwood Meadows Golf Course, and...
none of this is sponsored, by the way.
Okay, yeah. And then a restaurant called Halo. It was like off.
Interesting.
Cloud. Yeah, like a game. And then my friend's pub, the Dog.
Maybe that's
pub.
like maybe they thought you worked on Halo.
Yeah, maybe like I worked at Halo for like 3 years. Oh man, this is awesome, dude. Just bring this guy in. Yeah, but I got the call from the recruiter back to the QA thing, and he's like, "Hey, we need you to get down to the Burnaby office. Can you get there like in an hour?" I'm like, "Yeah, I live like half an hour away." He's like, "Okay, great. Just go there, and like if you can sit down in the lobby, that'd be awesome, and we'll like do a training session or something." I'm like, well, "Sure, yeah."
And this was in the Burnaby. Was this in the like EA campus?
Yeah, at the EA campus,
which is gorgeous.
And I didn't have an appointment. I didn't have a point of contact, and I like drove up to the security gates, buzz in. I'm like, "I'm here for QA." But there's like a pause. Yeah, come on in. And like drive up into the visitor lot. I've never been on campus before. Walk into the like lobby and sit down on these couches, and like slowly and gradually a group of people start gathering there. And then someone from the QA organization, I don't even remember, she comes out and she's like, are you guys all here to like do some QA? And the group is like, yeah. And she's like, okay, I got some names here. Let me just read them off. And she reads off some lists of names. And she's like, anybody I missed whose name wasn't on the list? I'm like, me. Like, I'm not on the list.
We do not recommend doing this.
Yeah.
We do not endorse.
This is not.
You were invited. You did not just muscle your way in.
And she's like, okay, follow me. And she gathers up the group of people, walks us out of the lobby, through the doors, into the QA area, sits us down, and she's like, don't leave, don't touch anything, and goes and gets us NDAs and contracts and signs us up right there. So literally.
Well, so like what time, like was it like a 2-week contract? Or?
Yeah, it was like a weekend contract. It was like literally this weekend we need testers to find this hard to find bug. And we just need you to play the shit out of this game. And we found the bug. Like someone in the group found the bug in like 4 hours or something.
Oh, wow.
And then they canceled our contracts. And they're like, okay, we found the bug. Thanks for making it out. We'll pay you for the full day and or your full contract, but you don't need to you don't need to come in this weekend. And it was literally like a 2-day contract.
That is... And I thought Clay getting Craigslist testers.
Yeah.
They got testers off Craigslist.
Wow.
To try and get like normie, for lack of a better term,
come in.
Like, yeah. And I thought that was going to be the weirdest QA story I heard, but...
It was, yeah. But as soon as you get your foot in the door, right, you have a contact, you have like someone to email, they have you on paper.
Well, also you have 2 more days professional testing experience.
Yeah.
And everyone else.
Yeah. And so, I think I followed up or checked in, and it was like maybe a month later, they were like, oh, yeah, we actually need you to come in, and they gave me like a 2-week contract or something.
Okay. And was that like workable with your like cooking, like the little contracts?
As long as they got big enough, but then they there was like a period where it was bad. It was like, here's a contract for 4 days, but we need you only 1 day a week for the next month, kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so like really hop back. So I ended up working both QA and cooking for a while. And I found my way onto this funny test team. So I did a lot of cooking to fill in like that QA contract, and it would come in and it would go. But then I finally found more more testing hours, like as QA. And it was this funny team that was like the live service QA, I think is what they were called. And we would play the game with players online in like a production environment and try to find production bugs or be present if the servers went down or we lost connection so that we could report a bug right away. But I did a graveyard shift, so I'd be doing this like through the middle of the night. My shift would start at like 10 p.m. and go to 6 a.m. or something like that. But you were
playing with like local people.
Yeah, but...
Or whoever.
Yeah, like on the production servers. So I'd be playing FIFA or NHL or NBA that night or whatever it was through the night with whoever's up, like Europe, Japan.
You got to kill that dad hours.
Yeah.
Like there's that like dads I know like played games like Saturday morning.
Right.
And so you could just destroy them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I did that for like, I don't know. The whole QA thing feels like a year, but I think looking back on it, it was like 8 months or 6 months or something like that. Yeah, but I'd go and I'd start working at like 4 p.m. at Cactus Club in Burnaby, and I'd
which is like a weirdly it's like a weirdly high regarded restaurant.
Yeah,
like
food's tasty there. Yeah.
Yeah, like it always ranks high in like local reviews. But has a disdain from anybody who doesn't like chains, because it's like it's the top chain.
Yes. Yeah.
And it doesn't really do any one thing. Kind of does everything. Like you can get like a dynamite roll and
exactly.
like linguine,
and
like a burger,
right.
And they had like questionable hiring practices of their waitresses, from what I hear.
Yes.
But still, if you read
their consistency is amazing for hiring.
it's a weird. It's a weird
did this franchise get the same looking women constantly.
It's a very strange restaurant, but it would be one that like everybody in Vancouver would have an opinion. Yeah. I remember I went to one and they had a rotating toilet seat.
Oh yeah, that's right, with the plastic that comes over
top. It flipped inside.
Oh, weird.
So it'd like clean the other one.
Oh,
so you get a fresh toilet seat, assuming it was cleaned in the void.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was always like part of their like shtick almost, is like Cactus Club has crazy bathrooms because they're always.
It's like a weird thing where like I feel like I don't know what the equivalent is in like other cities. Maybe a Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
If it didn't have cheesecake.
Like, my girlfriend's from California, so like a Yard House seems kind of similar. It's more
something. It's something like, where it's like it's trying to be a little too fancy.
Yeah.
Like it's not an Applebee's.
No.
It's not a Denny's. It's like it's trying to be like a almost a steakhouse if it didn't serve any steak.
Yeah, then we had very few steaks. Yeah, lots of chicken.
The big Yeah.
The chicken entree was good. But so I'd work there from like 4 to 9 p.m. and then take an hour to get back to the studio and start my QA at 10 p.m. and work through the night, and then at 6 a.m. go home and sleep. Get up at like 2 p.m. and
I'm definitely I was very adamant that I was not going to do QA, because one of the weird parts of going to a school we went to is that they were like, you'll get a job. Like they were like, you're gonna get a job. We get you jobs. That's why we're who we are.
Right. That's why you pay us the big money.
And a lot of the schools were like that. Like most like private schools are gonna advertise jobs.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a trade. Like it's like, go to our school, and then you'll get a job because we have these percentages. But the jobs they were offering me, I was so mad at. Wait, there's nothing against these jobs, but you go to a school to try and be a game developer.
Yeah.
You don't expect to get jobs at an Apple store.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is what you meant.
Yeah.
So I guess the advice in hindsight would be, can I hear about some of the, like, I would like a list of the jobs that you've gotten? Because if I took that Apple store job, they would have put me in the, they would have been like, oh, one of our graduates got a job in the first 6 months.
Oh man,
right?
So
it was like, which is weird because I got my job like 7 months. I made my weird Xbox Live indie game.
Yeah.
It was a great summer. So I just played Killzone 2 and Burnout Paradise. Played basketball, made my weird indie game, worked at a camping store. I was still living at home because I just went straight out of high school.
Oh, okay, nice.
So I was just like, I'm just going to keep applying for jobs in this terrible recession.
And
had
to do something.
And I got my job, and then I worked for about like 2 months and then got laid off right before Christmas.
Oh, damn.
And then I worked on definitely the worst game. And I like a lot of Activision games, so not trying to speak down on them. Second time bringing it up, Activision published a Wipeout game. Like it's a physical. It's still on. It's a physical and not Wipeout, the great PlayStation techno racing game.
Okay.
No. This was Wipeout : the game, based on the reality show.
What?
So based on the it's a reality show in which they get a bunch of people, often not athletes, to do an obstacle course that is designed for you to fail.
Right.
And the problem is the appeal of the show is that you fail.
Right.
You see
people
bouncing off balls,
face
tiny, like people getting punched. They have the thing where you get punched in the face, like that. It's like a whack-a-mole. It's like a reverse whack-a-mole. So there's a bunch of holes with fists in them, and you got to kind of like climb, and then this guy got punched and fell into the water. So it's not a game that
like a player would enjoy.
Yeah, because the fun of the show is watching you fail, and it's not really like, unless it was like the EA Skate kind of bone breaking thing, where that was its own mini game. Unless it was like that, which they're not going to make that game.
No.
So I worked on the DS port of that, because it was a Wii one.
Right.
Which Giant Bomb did a great quick look of. Was way funnier. I worked on the DS version of that. Because I think Big Sandwich didn't want to lose me. So they were like, we'll subcontract him.
Okay.
So he doesn't go get work somewhere else.
Right.
God, that was terrible game. It was a terrible game.
What ended up happening to Big Sandwich?
So then we made a fantastic, almost MOBA before MOBA, local multiplayer before local multiplayer was popular PSN game called Horde. In which you play as a dragon.
That's right, yeah.
Do dragon shit.
Loved it.
I think it's weird. Like, it's a weird game. I enjoyed working on it.
Board game aesthetic to it.
Which I would have. A lot of people have opinions about the Horde art.
Yeah.
I would have doubled down on the board games.
Yeah.
I would have removed the anime. Like, I would have made it so they don't animate and they melt when they get hit by the fire. Like, really make it goofy with hands and rulers and, like, really make it be it's a board game. Because we actually ran into a problem with, like, table rendering.
Oh. Take it up too much.
Like, that became a thing. It was like, I don't know. But that's what the pieces are supposed to. Like, it's supposed to look like a board game. That's why they have the little Warhammer bits. But it was super fun to work on. And it came out on PlayStation and PSP Go, so, like, only digital PSP, as well as Steam, which was good.
It was a fun party game. Like, I'd have, friends over, we'd play some Horde. It was good fun.
Yeah, like, I think it was a fun... And also, it's part of the, like, platform selection. Like, Sony... wanted us to make that game, so it was like, props to them. But at the time, like, how many PlayStation, like, even think to yourself, how many PlayStation downloadable games did you buy on the PS3 that did not have the word pixel junk or were made by the Journey people?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that game company.
Yeah,
which there's a This Game Company. I hate that title.
Okay. That game company.
Better. So it's just, and whereas, like, now I feel like if you're on the, like, a lot of people would consider, like, even now the Switch is the hot indie game, and it's like, oh no, like, if you're like, oh no, I didn't pick the Switch 2 years ago,
right? Yeah,
you might be regretting decisions, but that was kind of my, like, 2 years after school, and then that became a mobile company. So Big Sandwich became part of a mobile company called Z2.
Okay.
Which at the time was a great mobile company. They had one of the top 20 iOS apps in Battle Nations.
Nice.
They eventually got bought by King.
Okay.
And then King got bought by Activision.
Wow.
Bring it all around. There's a lot of Activision talk in this podcast. Apologies.
That's all good.
But I left the company after working on, like, a mobile racing game, which is no longer available, which is, like, messed up.
Yeah, like, digital lasts forever usually. Or like,
but not in mobile. It's like a weird thing where, like, you don't want to look like you have games that are not popular.
For the latest thing, and you don't want to see, like, a whole bunch of old games.
And we got crushed by the EA racing game.
I forget it.
What was it called?
It's made in Australia, in Melbourne. Fire Monkeys.
Yeah, that EA racing game was like,
there you go.
Kill. Like, it was like we saw the videos. We're like, oh, it looks so good. So yeah, when I left that, I did a little bit of indie contracting on a platformer, which is still not out.
Oh,
it's basically this 2-person team roughly has been making a platformer for the last 8 years, 3D platformer, and it's nuts. Like, it's a very, this person is trying to make something that competes with, like, Mario.
Wow.
And is somehow pulling it off with, like, a 2-person team. Like, it's a very technically sound platformer.
Okay.
Was called Epic Little Dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's called something else now.
I'll have to watch for it. You'll have to let me know when it gets released.
Yeah.
I'm
really funny. Like, I want to see my name in the credit.
Yeah,
Like, I worked there for about 3 months and then decided to join with the Darkest Dungeon people.
Mm.
So that was kind of my weird
like path around.
path making a variety of games. And then working on Darkest Dungeon for about as long as I worked on all those other games put together. Because it'll be 5 years this October, or this December.
Early career. Like, yeah, lots of... You just do whatever it takes to survive and to, like, keep your foot in the door.
So you kept taking these testing jobs.
Yeah, so I took the testing job for a little bit, and then Reiner actually recommended me... He got a job because Reiner's more technically skilled than I am. So, generally...
Who ended up working at Eve.
Yeah, exactly, in Iceland. Yeah, and now he's back in Vancouver area. Yeah, but no longer working on games. He's working on, like, chat stuff.
It's kind of a sad part of... like, you go to those game schools, and you're kind of like, oh, like, everybody's gonna be in the industry, it'll be so cool, and then it's like, oh, it's like reality. So a lot of people don't like doing it. A lot of the times there's not, like, there's other opportunities. Like, there's people that I know have been working on, like, casino games.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's where they got their career, and that's where they've kind of...
They found some stability. Yeah, they can count on it.
And like Nick was doing a lot of mobile stuff.
Right, yeah. With
he was with Kabam for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they got bought out by somebody, didn't they? Or
I think so. I think he might have been working at this game company.
It's a little confusing.
Yeah.
So Reiner recommended me at UFG to work on Sleeping Dogs.
Yes.
So,
outside of Darkest Dungeon, there's the game you've heard of.
Yeah.
Listening to this podcast.
Yeah, exactly, listening to this. And worked on that for a year, but then Activision, the other theme throughout this podcast, canceled the project.
The idea that might... because this might be the one podcast, not that I plan on saying anything like wild, but it's like the one where I could see somebody being like, this shouldn't come out. But there's enough Activision slander in here.
Dig through it.
Yeah. Just let me know if I need to take this down or if I need to give it to anybody to review.
I think it's fine. We're here at DICE, and you know, so
great studio, beautiful studio. I don't know if I'm breaking NDA. Nicest studio I've been in.
Thanks. Or not that I did anything.
A lot of awards.
Yeah, I painted that.
Yeah,
wall.
we're in this beautiful like top floor solarium. Like it looks like have you seen that Netflix show, The Most Amazing Homes in All the World?
I've seen it. I haven't watched it. Like it's
fantastic show.
It's good.
This seems like
one of those places,
a room where they'd come in and be like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" Because it's like the top floor of a building in Stockholm, in the like hipster district.
Yeah, on Södermalm. The whole island seems kind of hipstery.
It's not that hipstery though.
Okay.
Like I read a Google thing that was like the Williamsburg of Switzerland, and I haven't been to Williamsburg to be fair, but I've been to Portland.
Yeah.
I've been to Seattle. I live in Vancouver.
Right.
And I'm like, when does it get...
It's not quite like that. No. Yeah. There's still like a lot of lagom is a saying here in Sweden. It means like just enough, not too much. Don't be offensive.
Yeah, the tour guy was making fun of how hipster it was, and I was like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna get some good coffee and some thrift stores, and that's like I found a couple thrift stores and a Swedish person at one of the cinnamon bun places, which are amazing. Yeah, she was explaining to me that they don't have dark roast, and I was like, "That's fine." Yeah, like normally I get to in my head, I'm like normally I get to choose, and I choose dark roast, but apparently it's like a Swedish thing.
With the brewed coffee, it's like you just get the brewed coffee, but they brew it strong here.
It's good. It's fine.
It's good. The coffee's good,
but also it's like. I don't know what the reputation of European countries are for coffee, but it's like, I've been to Seattle.
Yeah, right.
So don't worry about it. Like, I know I'm not, like...
Yeah, I think Swedes might have a reputation for top coffee consumers in the world. Like, they drink a ton of coffee. And there are some good coffee places, but actually I find they brew it too strong, like, for brewed coffee. And then...
you gotta... Come on. You can't... You gotta be hard in... when you're North American in Europe, you gotta, like, not... You don't want to be why they made an Americano.
But I am. I can't escape it. Yeah. It's and it's like, it's what, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Sun's starting to kind of go down.
Yeah, I forget that I'm on a different part of the world.
Like far north.
So it's like the sun isn't different. The same schedule.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah. I think we are, because I look it up sometimes to understand. I think we're like on par, like on the same level as like Whitehorse.
Oh, okay.
That kind of like far north. Yeah, or like
it's definitely
Anchorage.
Not fun to fly to.
Yeah, a long flight.
And Condor, who's not sponsoring, delayed flight, maybe missed my connection.
Damn.
I'm not flying out of. I'm going down to Paris.
Okay.
Because I'm a quarter Swedish and a quarter French. So that's why I'm here.
Oh, okay. Visiting.
I'm interviewing you is why I'm here.
At this moment, yeah.
I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go because I couldn't, like, it was like a last minute vacation work thing. So I was like, who can I interview that lives in a cool place? I saw Crazy Rich Asians. I have a Singapore friend. I was like, Singapore game dev. I was like, I'd go out to Singapore. And I was like, the flight's even longer.
20 hours.
But it's like all the flights we're going to have to go back to Germany. And Frankfurt.
I hate that airport.
Yeah, it seems like the Newark of Europe.
It's awful. It's like you need to plan a 2-hour layover there.
I had to go through security.
Yeah,
and
twice,
it was like
I'm sure.
The joking. Well, I mean, I love going to Europe, but the Europe's it's like I didn't even say anything. I looked at my passport.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Though the funniest part was it was a UK guy that was trying to cut the line because he had a flight he had to catch, and it was like we're all on the. It's 11:30. We're all on a 12 o'clock flight, so
yeah.
But he wasn't allowed to use the EU line.
Oh, nice.
He had to be in here with us.
Yeah, plebs,
Canadians and New Zealanders.
Right. Yeah, that EU line.
So, but I can get a direct flight that's like half the price from Paris.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah,
that's the way. I think if I was to do this trip again, I'd fly into London.
Yeah.
Come over.
Yeah.
Because those flights are cheap and nothing.
With my girlfriend being from California, we can find great priced direct flights from LA to Stockholm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with Norwegian Air. Yeah, they're really good. Round trip's like $500 or something.
It's like the first positive Norwegian thing I've heard in Sweden this whole trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was trying to look. I was trying to be like, oh, like what if I go to Toronto? Like, because it's like different countries have different.
Yeah, but flying in and out of Canada is so crazy expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's but I'm here. It wasn't too bad. It actually helped offset the jet lag.
Yeah.
So I wasn't as sleepy. Speaking of that, what were you doing on Sleeping Dogs?
Nice. So on Sleeping Dogs, I was a living world designer, and I got to like play with the pedestrians, like build their population density, put down their AI pathing. We had this like cool system that would mix and match their heads and bodies, and so we could like I got to play dolls. Like I got to be like, oh, okay, we're gonna make a population of business people for downtown Hong Kong and put them together, and then like, hey, this is the party district. Let's make a whole bunch of young looking people who are, and we had like crazy controls too. We could vary the density by time of day, and even vary which like heads and bodies we spawned in based on time of day. So
you can make like
I could make downtown or like downtown look full of business people during the day, then at night sparse and full of like party goers. It was like really cool. And then set up the stores and the store cameras and inventory for the stores, and some of the like points of interest for the pedestrians. They'd like be walking down the street, and there's these markers where they're like, you can place them in the world, and it would play some animation set and something like that. So that's how we got them to stop and take a look at a store shelf or something, and then leave the store and walk along their path again, do all that kind of cool stuff.
And now that sounds like the way you look right now, that was enjoyable.
It was. I like, for the first design, I felt like I was building something, putting a little bit of myself into the game, and like crafting something. It was just really, it was a lot of fun. It was really good.
And also, like, one of the reasons I didn't take the design program was just because, like, I was scared what that first design job was gonna suck.
Yeah, I think that it was gonna be the first design job for me was QA. Like, yeah, it's kind of
like, I was worried. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be designing like arenas and
right,
like
yeah,
like a sports game, and I was like, oh, I'll be doing that for years. Like,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So it's cool that like you did your QA.
Yeah, I paid my QA dues. Yeah. Did that. And then, the project was canceled, but later picked up by Square Enix.
Mm-hmm.
And that...
Which is, still to this day, one of the craziest things.
Yeah, that does not happen often. Like, a project being canceled.
That Activision was like, not worth the marketing budget. We're going to cut our losses 50 million in, whatever the
the game was like 90% done,
and this was like the hot studio, which Vancouver has had a few like propaganda,
right? Yeah, propaganda.
Where it's like Radical. These huge studios with all of this money, and they're like hiring, and they got this beautiful office, and then it's like, when's their game coming out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's happened, I think, a few times. Or they get big enough and then they get bought by EA or something.
Yeah,
like
or
Black Box,
Microsoft or something. Microsoft. Like, yeah, like it's kind of a. So when they don't, when they don't get bought, it's like, it's like,
what's going on here?
Like that Pirates of the Caribbean game never came out.
Yeah.
And Chris Brassa, the like art director, and Brooks Gordon, the like technical animator on Darkest Dungeon, they worked at Propaganda.
Oh yeah.
So it was like, hearing those stories and going, this sounds like, yeah.
Didn't a lot of that tech that they built get bought by Ubisoft?
That's and the word on the street. Like, I had somebody tell me that, and it was weird because I was like, I know people that worked on it.
Yeah.
Like,
I've had someone working at Propaganda tell me that.
Yeah.
Or who worked there. But yeah, that's kind of the rumor with that. And I don't remember like reading or hearing about any like official sort of purchase. Like how does it even happen? Like,
I think you auction it off. I mean, like, speaking of Nordic Scandinavian game devs, THQ Nordic bought the rights to Time Splitters.
Right.
So you're just sitting there and you're like got a bunch of stuff and you're just trying to salvage whatever money you can get out of the situation. So
yeah. That's true. Yeah, some of the IPs do go on auction.
I was thinking about that. Like, I was kind of thinking when I heard Time Splitters, because that's something I have nostalgia for. And it's like, how much does that cost?
Yeah.
Like, could I get the Way of the Samurai IP? Like,
could be out there,
right?
Yeah.
Like, what does it cost to get the Columns IP? Like, I guess Sega's probably not going to let go of that, but.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
but like, maybe they're willing. Like, and where does one go to shop IP?
Yeah, like I want to get in those. Yeah, like let me know if anything's. Yeah, because what does it cost? Because like Atari was selling off their IP, and apparently it was going really cheap. Like something like the Spy Hunter IP was like hundreds of dollars or something.
Probably. Just thinking about like what kind of games from my childhood do I have nostalgia for? And the first thing that came to mind, funny enough, was the Captain Planet game, like that was on Nintendo.
So that's gonna come with the cartoon, so it's gonna be a little bit more pricey.
Yeah, but.
So you were there during the like change of hands?
Well, yeah, I was contractor design doing that work, and then so our contract ended, and so I was laid off with the project being canceled, and I was unemployed for about 6 months or so, and then just like really starting to panic about like what I'm gonna have to go back to cooking, and And then Robert Ling recommended me for this job at EA. And he was working with a web development team in the marketing organization and like
ran into him the other day.
The FIFA websites to market the game, but also like we have the FUT web app that's available online, and so it's a platform for that web app to sit in. And he recommended me for this contract job because they needed a content manager to basically build their website with the tools. And coming out of like game design, I'm handy with software tools. Like you can put me in front of something and I'll learn how to use it the best I can. And I just started building FIFA marketing websites for first little bit. And then that's like early days of communication or like organization within EA, and that's undergone a tremendous amount of evolution over the last 6 years, just in games in general, like how we talk about how gaming's become more and more mainstream, and and then the rise,
especially
access of internet, and like how do you want to read about or find information about the games that are coming out, and the whole like shift from doing that from official sources to doing that with like, no, I want to hear from community or like influencers to tell me about what they felt when they were hands-on. I don't want to, I trust the player more, or like the person who's hands-on more than I trust the corporate line that comes out. So there's been this huge shift there, and that's like a ton of reorgs, and which is probably breaking an NDA, I think. But really interesting time, and I'm really grateful for it. It gave me a ton of experience. I was able to grow in that role and take on more management and more like strategic planning and working closer with the product marketing guys and like taking their strategies and flushing them out on the web. But it gave me insight on the other half of the business. Like there's always this fight, like anywhere you go, the two nemesises are developers and marketing, like always. And to see the other side of the business was really refreshing, and I think like a great experience.
Well, also in a situation where your work's going to be in play around the world, and in all these countries, and all these
people have seen my work,
and in an already established thing. So there's going to be, I imagine there's some amount of how, like, it's easier in a game like FIFA probably to go, how good of a job did we do? Mm-hmm. Because you have this lineage, you have people that's jobs are probably to set expectations and kind of all that. Whereas like it can be a bit tough in the like indie world, because it's like outside of getting on storefronts, how much value is that? How like is it like it's just more and everything's a lot more like, if it's the first IP, like the first game in an IP, then like how do you judge that stuff?
Yeah. I mean, certainly there's like a lot of momentum and clout that you get when working with a giant franchise, and it's, I don't know, it's like stage fright almost, because you don't want to fuck it up. And,
you don't want to. Well, I mean, the competition's not what it once was.
Yeah, I guess.
in some of these franchises.
So, some of them are juggernauts now that you're kind of like...
Yeah, I can imagine being very stressful working on, like...
Yeah, and there's
like
hard
FIFA, when winning 11 was like in the PS2 ages, when it was like an actual competition.
Right. Yeah,
I imagine a lot more stressful.
Yeah, that probably was, yeah. So that was 2011, I think, is when I...
Was it your idea to bring Drake on stage during the press conference?
No, not my idea.
Okay.
That moment. But then I've always wanted to get back from marketing back into game dev, so I spent the last 5 years trying to do that. 4 years, within the marketing org.
So but you were at EA Burnaby working on FIFA.
EA Burnaby working on FIFA. Yeah. And then there just came a point where I was like, okay, I need to work on something else. And started working on Battlefield. So Battlefield Hardline. Yeah, still in Burnaby. Working still with websites, but then changing the product. So working more with Battlefield, and then an opportunity came up to help be like an ambassador between the marketing communications like web team and DICE in Stockholm. Because
what do you mean? Like, did you just get an email?
No, I didn't just get an email. I mean,
so you guys have like a mini like reality show?
No, it was more like I was always really upfront and honest with my managers. Like, hey, I want to get back into game development. I have that background.
Surprising how well that works.
Yeah, when you're honest with people.
yeah, like when you're honest with your managers. Like,
yeah, it works out pretty good. Yeah, and so they knew, oh, hey, like, we want to make we want a better relationship with DICE, like EA to DICE relationship, that kind of publisher to studio relationship. And there's a 9-hour time zone difference, and we need somebody over there who can advocate for us as web developers, but also understands game development and the work that goes in there. And it was like, Roderick could do that. And so they asked me, like, hey, would you relocate to Sweden?
What was that decision process like? What did you know about Sweden beforehand?
Like nothing.
Yeah.
I was probably actually one of those people in the population who confused Sweden with Switzerland.
When I went to Switzerland, same thing.
Yeah.
Got it mixed up, even though I'm a quarter Swedish.
Right. It just kind of
mixed it up. But then once I went to Switzerland, I'm like, okay, that's
Switzerland.
That's Switzerland. Everything else is Sweden.
Is Sweden. Yeah. Yeah. And really quickly you kind of get out of that. So I started doing some research. But it's funny the way life works sometimes. My boss at United Front Games, when he got married, he asked me to be one of his groomsmen. So I joined his groomsmen, and I met my girlfriend for the first time at his wedding.
What? Wow.
So, like, and
you guys were your boss?
Yeah, like my manager, my like lead designer. Yeah, like you get along well. You make good relationships with the people.
I mean, definitely in like indie, we're like very close.
Yeah,
even with people I've never worked with. Just because you spend so much time traveling and going on trips and all that. But that's just
like a whole other
And you met
I met my girlfriend at their wedding. She had done the planning.
She catch the bouquet?
Execution. No, I don't think she did. She was married at the time.
Oh,
scandalous. Yeah. And so years later, she's divorced and ready to date again, and then they set us up, actually. And so,
knowing you were going to Sweden?
No, this is before going to Sweden. Okay. But not much, like 4 or 5 months before getting the offer. So this is going back to that question, like, what was that decision process like? And it went like this. It was like, well, I'm really happy with my girlfriend. I will go to Sweden, but only if I can bring her with me.
Wow.
And so, having great managers, being honest with people always, right? And they helped me work that out with the company. And
wow.
But then the conversation I had to have with Heather was, hey, if you want to come, do you want to come to Sweden with me?
Wait, which one do you...
Right, you start with, like...
You asked...
Do you want to come... Yeah. No, well, I asked her first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, do you want to come to Sweden? Because I would love to, like, go there. This opportunity's come up. Like, what is that? What do you think about that? And she's in California. We're not even living together. I'm in Vancouver. She's in Anaheim. And it's like... because she had wanted to live outside of the U.S. for a little bit, do some traveling, work abroad.
Yeah.
And so that kind of fit for her. And so then the next thing is like, okay, well, you need to move in with me because we kind of have to live together for 6 months before like we can apply for a visa here.
I thought you would have just been like, we'll just figure it out in Sweden.
No, but no, we had to live together, and our visas are all joined together here and everything. So,
okay.
Yeah, so that decision process was like.
So did you move to LA or?
No, she moved to Vancouver.
Yeah, because it's probably easier to immigrate. From Canada.
She was just on a visitor visa. There was no like.
No, but like to Sweden.
Oh yeah,
it's probably like. I imagine it's
easier.
Yeah.
As an expat, a Canadian expat in Sweden, Sweden's not an overly weird place. Like universal healthcare.
No. That makes sense to me. Very.
It's all socialist.
Policies. It's definitely similar. Yeah. It's weird not seeing tall towers.
Yeah.
Seems like Sweden really likes the 8-story building everywhere.
Yeah. It's a totally different mentality. Here it's like reuse the buildings that you have.
Yeah.
Whereas North America's like, let's put up a new one. And so there's a smattering of new buildings, but as we look towards like the old town of Stockholm, it's like all those buildings are from the 1400s, 1500s and stuff, and they're like untouched. They're still the same thing from that time period, which is really cool.
Do you think it made it easier moving to like a new place, living with somebody who doesn't like also is new?
Yeah, I think moving with somebody was awesome because you kind of have a friend to go and do these experiences with or have these experiences with. But then some of the expats that I've met here, maybe the most integrated of them are those who have met people here and like had relationships with them. So like the expat who then starts dating a Swede, and then those people, those expats integrate a lot better.
Though, I mean, it's probably also not. It's not the. It probably is different in every city, and every city probably has these things. But my general guess is that it's going to be very difficult to, like, be single here, not being blonde and tall, because there's a lot of them. But maybe that's normalized, and maybe they see my curly hair and it's like, oh wow, there's not a lot of that. Like I've seen 3 people with curly hair my entire
not to be like overly stereotypical, but the men and women here are beautiful.
So I bet it's probably nice moving here with a partner, not having to worry about that.
Because I've read like there's some English only news or expat news, and every so often there's like a recurring article like how to date in Sweden, how to like meet people in Stockholm, sort of thing. So I get the sense that it's like difficult to.
You gotta be riding a bike. You gotta
or something. But the Swedes are a bit more like reserved. They're friendly, but it's not like when we moved into our apartment, it wasn't like our direct neighbors came knocking on the door and like, hey, howdy, you just moved into the building, how are you doing? Here's some like cookies. Like that's it was not.
I went to this restaurant that had a long wait time, assuming because I was like, oh, I'm by myself, should just be able to get a
sneak right in
spot at the bar.
Boom.
But it wasn't that way, so I had to sit next to this couple that was. It seemed like we're on a. The guy was really annoying.
Oh.
And he was American. Not that all Americans are annoying, but there was just something about every conversation they had that I eavesdropped the whole thing.
Right.
Was very annoying. But they were mentioning something about how in like Sweden it's like they don't talk to your neighbors till after a year. Like it's like a thing where it's like there's a vetting period for
there
like,
kind of is
how friendly of a neighbor I'm going to be, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting because I don't want to talk to my neighbors at all.
There's no vetting period.
Limited about like I just don't want to talk to random people outside of my podcast. Maybe my podcast fulfills enough random conversations, but
good enough to meet enough people. But there's like this cultural thing that's like, hey, you just don't want to impose on people, and you don't want to you don't know how you might upset them, so you just don't do anything because then, they might take offense to something. Like, so I think that it's like the pace here is a lot slower in general as well, and I think part of it is like.
No, people be walking fast.
People
like,
are
I'm a fast walker, and I'm
yeah.
not passing people, and I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
People are moving at the speed I want to move.
Yeah. People walk quickly here, but I mean, like...
do they assume you speak Swedish?
Sometimes they do, because I've practiced some Swedish enough to not be totally rude when I'm, like...
Because 100% of the time, everybody's spoken Swedish to me.
Oh, wow.
And then I just shake my head and then go, sorry, I don't speak Swedish.
and then everyone speaks English, and they speak excellent English.
Yeah, and it's a funny. They say it's a funny accent, and the W trip up is
the V
is tricky. Like he was trying to say that wheel was on the menu.
The veal.
And I was like, wheel? Like a wheel of cheese?
Wheel of cheese, yeah. The veal. Yeah, because it's a bit weird. It's like the V makes a W sound and the W makes a V sound. It's all mixed up. But I love it here. Yeah, it's safe, it's clean, and then like we just had our first kid, so like
you
if
rode
it wasn't
the bus, which is crazy. You rode the bus to the hospital.
Yeah, I rode the bus to the hospital. That's right. Yeah, so there's a ton of hospitals around Stockholm, and so you're never really too far from the hospital. Yeah. I think there's like 4 in the area.
Yeah, and they are like, kind of more spread out.
Yeah, there's like one in the north, one in the south, another one further in the south, another one a little like southeast, I think. So you're always kind of close to a hospital, and the way it works here for like childbirth and labor is your last couple weeks, your last maybe trimester of pregnancy, you already have picked a hospital and you've started a rapport with them. And you can call them directly, be like, right into the labor ward and speak with a midwife or a nurse and be like, hey, it's hurting today, or I'm having contractions. And they may bring you in. They may be like, oh, just stay at home sort of thing. And so the care here is a bit different. It's not like, oh, I think I'm going in labor, and you rush off to the hospital. It's like, oh, I think I'm going in labor, and they'll be like, okay, you're 10 minutes away. You can chill at home for the next 6 hours. You don't need to be like in the hospital freaking out. Why don't you just relax? And when it gets a little bit more intense, come in. But in our case, we had a scheduled C-section because the baby hadn't like turned around, so we knew it's like one trade-off is like, hey, surprise, you're going to be a parent sometime. You don't know when. And the other one is like, oh, we have this scheduled at 7 a.m. today. You're going to become a parent. It's a bit weird on your mind. But ours was a scheduled C-section. So we just rode the bus in. Like, we took the bus to the hospital.
It doesn't seem that weird riding the transit here.
It's great. It's so smooth, yeah. And we were close to the hospital anyway, so we just needed to walk to the end of our street, basically. Hop on the bus and...
So how many passports does your kid have?
He'll have 2, and then, I want to be Swedish, and then hopefully give him his 3rd. So he's like American, Canadian, and then hopefully Swedish.
Oh, he doesn't get a Swedish passport?
No. Yeah, when you're born in the European Union, your passport is based on your parentage, and since we're Canadian and Swedish, Canadian and American, then he's Canadian and American. He's not Swedish. Yeah. And yeah, that's different than U.S. and Canada, where it's like, oh, you're born here, you're Canadian.
Yeah. Huh. I'm always jealous of the people with multiple passports.
Yeah, it seems like the thing you want to get, right?
Because you can't get it.
Yeah.
It seems like it'd be a huge... But it's like you could have never set foot in that country and have their passport and then kind of switch out the passports depending on what
you needed.
Preference, I guess.
Yeah, like
American passport coming into America,
right? Exactly.
Coming out.
You don't want to do that. Yeah.
Oh, is that not?
No, they're kind of like because we're reading up on all this stuff. Because we're like, okay, we have family in the U.S. and family in Canada, and even though those two countries are really close to like each other in relationships, but their websites are saying like, if you're coming into the U.S. and you have a U.S. passport, use it, and if you're going into Canada, use the Canadian one. So like that kind of swapping I guess so, if we're like seeing the family between, but yeah, we'd swap.
So you took the
so I took the
job.
Yeah,
moved to Sweden.
Worked for a year or 2 years. Yeah, 2 years, kind of doing the 3 years doing the website stuff for Battlefield, Mirror's Edge. And then applied like an internal transfer and transferred into game design again on the dev team.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So really roundabout.
Because now
I'm a game designer on Battlefield 5, which is like awesome. So
like fun. That's such an interesting path to working at what many people and myself would consider like a small list flagship studio. Like there's only a certain amount of studios like this that are making huge games with like their own tech.
Yeah.
And kind of that will be like, I don't know, a marquee game of whenever it comes out. And now you're doing game design on one of those games.
Yeah. It's been an incredible journey. And it's been a fun one, too.
Yeah. Yeah, because you've got all this different experience now.
Yeah. And I think that's what's fun about our industry, right? Like you can, like we were saying, it's not the education. You don't ever really lock in. It's always about your experience and kind of what you bring to the table as a personality. Not so much like for training so much.
It's also tough. It's tough to really move around how you want to move around, like, as a game developer. Like, you can't just be like, I want to work on... Like, if you're like, I want to work on...
The Last of Us, or
The Last of Us, or I want to work on... And then switch. Like, you can do that. You can be like, I have a goal of I want to work at Valve or whatever.
Right.
And I'm just going to do what it takes to do that. And I'm going to keep applying, kind of do that. But if you want...
It's like Reiner getting on Eve. He did that.
Yeah, the funny thing about Reiner is he played Eve the entirety of school.
Yep.
And then got a job working on Eve. Like, he got a job working on the game that he played before going to game school.
Yeah, because it was his, like, lifestyle hobby.
And I've never heard anybody like that.
Yeah, an equivalent would be like someone who loves playing WoW and has played it forever, working at Blizzard on WoW.
On WoW. Yeah. Like, even if you were, like, you wanted to work at your favorite studio, that would be an accomplishment. That would be 98% of game developers do not get to do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then, even if you're there, working on your favorite game.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't even there working on Cyberpunk.
No, yeah.
No, they don't make Cyberpunk, sorry.
No, it's Project Red, but like...
Yeah, like that vampire game.
The vampire game, yeah.
Yeah, like he wasn't there working on the vampire game.
No, yeah.
He was there working on
Eve.
Working on Eve.
Yeah, and CCP's Eve community is nuts, and to be able to like engage with them, and they have their fan fest and to move, and either in Reykjavik and like right in the center of it, total dream come true job. But then you hear this from our veteran developers, they just kind of burn out after a while. They're like, I need a different thing to work on. I want more work-life balance, or they
want to work
different
on
projects.
Something else.
Yeah,
because I know as like a programmer, which is one of the reasons I wanted to go into indie games, because I was trying to work at AAA games. I was applying to Relic and EA and United Front.
Yep.
All the time while I was working at Big Sandwich and then turned into Z2. and never really had the right experience or the right time, or like it never really kind of worked out. But the thing is I wanted to work in indie games because the trajectory as like a programmer gets weird, where you like program and then you either become a technical director or you become like super specialist, where you're like, I'm gonna be an expert in this one thing,
right?
Or I'm gonna be a technical director and do less programming. And so I was kind of like on track to doing that, and it's just like I wanted the kind of variety of indie stuff like in the programming side. So it's like the people shift for all sorts of reasons.
And Runner's now back in Vancouver and
not working on games.
Not working in games.
Yeah, and also it's tough because you always got to weigh as a game developer, like, what am I doing versus like what is my job. And it's like that balance of like you could be working on your favorite game doing something you don't like, or the job's really stressful, but the game's really good, or the game like you don't care about but the job is amazing, like it's super pleasant to go to work and everything is set up that way. So it's kind of always a balance of you gotta pick your exactly what you're saying, like pick your projects, pick your work environment, pick your career path, like there's like a fluidity to it. You do have to embrace what comes, like your story is definitely like you probably like if I talked to you in school, you probably wouldn't be like, I'm gonna go to Switzerland and work at Sweden.
Sweden and work at DICE. And
like you would not have, because you could have worked at Insomniac. Like you could, like there's so many different companies you could point to and be like, I'm gonna work there.
And I think being like in game design school, a game designer, you want to design the games that you're really into. And I was like really super into open world and like single player adventure games, and not so much shooters because I sucked at them. And it's funny how just over time our tastes change, and then you kind of can find yourself working like in a studio and on a game you wouldn't have thought you ever would have wanted to work on.
And also, like, were you choosing different schools? Like, were there different schools you were looking at?
Or companies, or different schools?
Like, different cities? Because if you didn't go to Vancouver, you wouldn't have got the...
No,
you wouldn't have got the Volt job, you wouldn't have got the...
exactly. I wouldn't have met my girlfriend, like, all this stuff. It's so funny.
Yeah. It's funny when the life stuff links into it.
Yeah, and it's all connected, and you're like on one half, maybe that's just the way life works, because it's always about the choices we make and the consequences we get from those choices, like what happens, and there's no turning back from that. But I think no, I wasn't really looking at other cities to go to, because in Calgary, and I don't know what it's like today, but I'm sure it's probably not too much different. You're like it's an industry, like an economy rather, I should say, based on oil, based on big business, maybe some banking, right? There's art scenes, and then there's like services around providing things to the people working in the oil patch there. And so I found it really difficult to fit in. Like I think we're a bit more creative, a bit more like interested in that sort of thing, and I just never felt like I fit in Calgary. And looking at Calgary game dev jobs, and it's casino games, or like I think there's a couple mobile studios there.
There's a couple indies I've met.
Yeah, and then you have BioWare in Edmonton, and as someone who doesn't have any game training whatsoever, to think about like, I want to go and be a game designer in Edmonton. I didn't even have any clue on how to do that.
Also, this is pre-Mass Effect. You're making this decision.
Yeah, actually, and I had made the decision to go to Vancouver 2 years before we actually started, so that was like 2005.
Yeah, so that's a different BioWare.
It's a different BioWare, right? Like it's like
that's a Microsoft published BioWare.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so it's really it didn't even like occur to me that maybe I should go to Edmonton and try to get into this one company.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. You go there, you better company. Make it work, right?
Yeah. So and the University of Calgary, Mount Royal College, SAIT, these are schools that focus on traditional university programs or computer programming. But I have the friend I worked for who runs the pub. He has a computer science degree. His job offerings at a school were working for the internet provider. Like, these markets are really hard. And so I think picking Vancouver, because in Canada you got Vancouver, you got Montreal and Toronto as game developer, like game industry hubs and technology hubs.
And basically the tax credits move around.
Yeah, between
historically they hop around, and then layoffs happen, and then
the film and game move to some other city. Yeah, so
it's weird because like our whole careers, Montreal's had those tax breaks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and there's always
so we haven't seen it shift yet.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah, and there's like
because Lucas ended up going to Ubisoft.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
who was like my Reiner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I guess
Lucas.
Yeah,
and he's working at Ubisoft
still. Which is crazy.
Yeah, been there. He's probably been there like 8 years now.
Yeah, we've been out of school
9 years.
9 years.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of time. It seems like a lot of time.
Yeah, I had my high school 10-year reunion last year.
Yeah.
So that was...
I graduated high school in 2000. I was born in 82. So, yeah, I think I was already living in Vancouver. I think when they did their 10-year anniversary.
I wanted to stay in Vancouver. I mean, I wanted to make games, but one of the things, not knowing what it's actually like, was like, I want to stay in Vancouver. So this is an industry that is growing, big in Vancouver, so I should be able to stay here if I want to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, thanks for being on the question bus.
Yeah, no worries. Of course.
This was a great episode.
It's been a pleasure.
My general rule of thumb is the longer the episode, the better I think it is.
Okay.
So this is maybe the longest episode.
Oh my god, that's just because I ramble.
And is there anything else you want to plug?
No, I don't think so. I think...
No?
Yeah, we should go have a beer.
You don't have any... EA properties, DICE properties you want to plug.
Okay, well, definitely play some Battlefield when it comes out. It's going to be an amazing game. Looks great. Plays really...
Forgive me for asking this. This is the Battlefield coming out like...
October, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Battlefield 5. The V.
And it's World War II.
World War II? Yeah. Battlefield 5, World War II... it's a big game. It's got something for everybody. It's going to be fun.
And any social medias or anything?
You can hit me up. Look for me on LinkedIn if you got more questions that you'd like to ask me about with game industry. I'm going to try to start posting a little bit more on the Battlefield forums, so you can find me there. I think my handle is Rotosaurus Rex.
Was that your choice?
That was my choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be sure. There might be a nickname person in the office.
Yeah. So you can find me on there. Yeah. Private message.
Are you going to get that on Twitter?
I might get that on Twitter later.
Yeah. You better...
Probably a topic for another podcast, but what's up with the world and the internet today and death threats against developers? I'm not a big fan.
Yeah. Don't send death threats.
Yeah. So maybe just, don't do any of that. But yeah, if you want to talk more game industry and game design, feel free to. Yeah. Cheers.